Sorry for the deformed nature of my hat. It's a little old. Anyway, here at the Connor, I've got the panel off. Just a brief overview, which I can send to you guys. This is the Hunter control module that Iconi installed that is meant for the system. This is the inside. Just a couple things I wanted to point out. These don't get messed with. Timer always stays all the way to 0, and speed always goes to max, which is at 10 or past 10, so that the system can run as fast as possible when the sun is out. You can hear that it's running slow because it's quite cloudy, but it is still running. You can hear it inside. Okay, here's the toggle switch on the bottom. The back side is on battery. There are no batteries on this. Center position is off, so that the switch is straight up and down to turn the system back on, and it should always stay on, obviously, since it's on a timer. You pull it this way, which is towards the indicator that says solar. Batteries back here. We don't have batteries. We never use that. It's important, obviously, to keep these panels clean on a probably every 6-month basis, depending on whether there's a storm or not. The level of the tank can be checked by moving this pipe or feeling the side of the tank for where it's cold or warm and knocking on it. A low knocking thud versus a high knock tells you the difference between water in it or not. Panels are currently about at a 15-degree mark, which is kind of more optimal for summertime, although this seems to be running fine during winter times because there's enough sun. Angle of the panels can change if we got an abnormally cloudy or year, then that can change, and that may sometimes have to change, which is just as it is for what latitude you're at and how much sun you're getting. Gutter should obviously be kept clean on a quarterly to maybe every 6-month or yearly basis, depending on how much is in there. And I won't be able to see this because I can't see that high, but here's a view of what it looks like in the gutters, just so you guys know. I found grass growing out of here, so that should be checked regularly to make sure it's not growing anything. And I may have mentioned this already, but the solar panels should be cleaned off, and all you do for that is get a ladder and a damp rag. I did this the last time I was here. Looks fairly clean. But in a few months we'll need a cleaning just to keep as much power coming through as possible. Okay, so it's cloudy right now, pretty cloudy. The pump is barely running, so you can see that there is barely any water coming out. So on very cloudy days, there may not be enough water pressure to activate all of these things. You can see it's barely trickling out of that. The further you get away from the pump, the less water comes out. Some of these are almost doing nothing, and that's just a function of how fast the pump is spinning and where the plants are hooked up on the line, and potentially what kind of head they have on them. So you can see there's a big difference between how much water that guy's getting, how much water this guy's getting, versus how much this guy and this guy, which seem like they're getting almost nothing, kind of gets. So there's some variability. Like this guy is squirting out water. Not sure why he gets so much and these don't. Maybe it's just the head that's on it. But obviously cloudy weather can make a big difference on how much water the plants are getting due to how fast the pump is spinning. And we have the pump maxed out. See, we have one here on the left that's barely trickling and one on the right that's doing nothing. Over here we have two doing a little bit of something, and this one seems to be squirting out pretty good. So a lot of variability. That's when the pump's running pretty slow on a cloudy day. And obviously when the sun comes out, the pump probably triples in speed and a lot more water comes out. So, you know, if you get a week of cloudy weather, you're not getting a lot of watering. Another thing I just want to point out here that I noticed is that, you know, there's quite a bit of drip coming through some of the pots. Obviously, you know, it just looks like there's a lot of pour through. So this one we've got pretty good flow coming through, but you can see that the pot is not necessarily wet or absorbing water. It's just sort of going into the top of the pot, and it looks like about the same amount is coming out the bottom. So I don't know if there's like channeling or what, but I think these things need to be moved around a bit or whatever. You know, I don't know what kind of dirt is in this or not. It's not my forte, but seems to be maybe if these were moved around a little bit. Obviously when the pump's running low, it's not squirting out quite as much, and you end up with water passing through and not necessarily getting the pot wet, right? Because obviously what you want to see is a little bit more, I guess, water kind of wetting the entirety of the dirt on the inside, but it just seems to be kind of running out. I mean, that's a bit of water. Same thing with this pot. A lot of water on the bottom. This guy used to be right here, but nothing's wet to the left. Nothing's wet to the right. I've moved it over to here to try to maybe get away from channeling, because I think it's, you know, kind of creates some channeling in there, like, with a pool filter, we have to backwash those to keep it from channeling so that it doesn't seek the easiest way out. So maybe, you know, sort of adjusting those occasionally will help the pots get a little bit more wet without all that water passing through. Seems like there's a few of them that happens with, and, you know, obviously it's probably not ideal watering conditions if water is just running through. Like this one looks great. Whole pot looks nice and wet. That's great. That's kind of, I think, what probably you're shooting for on each of these. And yes, water's coming out of that, but at least it's achieved wetting the dirt all the way through. You know, these guys, again, I don't see water coming out, so that's good. But anyway. All right, so back to the situation here where I found the rat's nest, and you can see if you look closely, there's pieces of wire that have been nibbled and taken. You can see the different sheath colors that were a part of the tank sensor. There's some blue, and there's some wire fragments. So he chewed through that thing, used all of it. He chewed through the cover, because this is material from the cover, and you can see the chewed area right there that he chewed into. His nest is right here on the top of this bar, and I'm sure we'll find some rat stuff in there. And he chewed through this rope, and that's what we use to pull the pump out if we need to. I re-tied that, and I have moved it to the side where he doesn't have as much access to it. I've also moved the tank sensor wire to the right, away from him a bit, and strung that here down underneath where hopefully he doesn't find it with his teeth, because this very well may happen again within, I don't know, a matter of days if this thing's coming up and he likes to chew through wires. And I think we all know that rats definitely like to chew through wires. But anyway, I put a new sensor in there because it's just easier, and system is now functioning like it should.